We're now moving into our next sessions around innovative finance. So today we've got 7 pitches, and first up we're welcoming Rosemary Adis to the stage. Rosemary is an impact strategist and is setting the scene in the public and private finance sectors. Welcome, Rosemary.
Delighted to be here with everybody today. Thank you very much for the welcome, and I'll start by paying my respects to the Aboriginal custodians of the lands on which we all are situated here in Australia, and to their elders past and present. I'm going to provide you with some brief context today for this discussion. I know some of you are very familiar with innovative finance and with the way that we can think about using public and private finance, and for others this is a newer conversation. And in these particular and extraordinary circumstances in which we find ourselves, the humanitarian, the environmental, the economic crisis that people are facing is really profound. And so when Oksana first approached me about this forum, it seemed really important that we talk about something like water in the context of this pandemic, something that is the lifeblood for people and for our planet, and also because of the resources not being evenly distributed, can sometimes be a real focus point around inequality, around the ways that in which communities are unevenly affected. And we've never had a more tangible opportunity to make a transformative difference, in my view. And each of us has a role to play in that. The circumstances are very challenging and we need to craft the paths ahead. But in framing this introduction to public and private finance, I think it's important to really name the opportunity in front of us. So we're talking about finance because just as water is that lifeblood for people and planet, finance has become what makes a lot of our systems tick, and we cannot do what we cannot resource. And many of you live the reality that programs that are promising solutions that are important are difficult to scale because they can't be funded and financed properly. And this is a conversation about much more than money. It's about connecting where the need is to where the resources are. And it's also about how we resource the kind of bold action and catalyse new models and contributions that are going to be needed, whether that's clean drinking water or innovative wash initiatives or conservation of our oceans, and bring those solutions to fruition and to scale and to reach the people and the places where it's needed most. And this is a conversation at its heart about impact and how we direct capital towards the achievement of impact. Our system has come to overemphasise the financial outcomes, and the opportunity ahead of us is one in which we reorient to bring social and environmental to the forefront and the centre of what we do, because that's where we start to focus on how things are affecting people and the planet. We've seen leading economists, from Michael Porter, who has developed the shared value models in the last 10 years, say that when we left the social and environmental out of our models of GDP and competition theory and economics, that it was a huge mistake. Joseph Stiglitz, the Nobel Prize winning economist, says that misalignment of the social and economic incentives is one of the great insights of economics in the last 20 years. And yet still we focus more on a bifurcation of public and private when it comes to how resources flow and when it comes to the way that we look at our system. We need to focus on both, because the way forward isn't a contest between public and private or profit-driven and social good. No sector is going to hold all the levers to creating the change that is needed and creating the public value that will be needed to create jobs and to secure food and to ensure that people and the environment are able to be restored through this crisis and through what looms in relation to the climate emergency. So it's time we move past some of these unhelpful generalisations, and this is going to depend on leadership and on us finding ways to work differently between different sectors. And we will find examples in the speakers you're about to hear from, people who are doing this each day, making new ways of working, come to life, and there is so much in that application, the learning and the demonstration, because we're not going to change the world by throwing more money at old concepts that aren't working for us anymore. We need new approaches. And we can also see, particularly through the lens of climate risk, that doing harm is becoming risky business for business and finance as well, and people are grappling with how to deal with that. We're seeing a growing focus on non-financial performance, and we're starting to get real data. For those who are interested, the Harvard Business School has recently published accounts of major companies adjusted for their environmental performance. These so-called impact-weighted accounts give a very different picture of the contribution that some companies are making and where there is a real cost to people and to the planet. We've seen the UNDP working on standards for SDG enabling investment to inform better decision making, and the significant work that's going on through major investment houses and corporates who are putting their name to the need that in this moment that we focus on delivery of the SDGs and the Paris commitments, and that the landscape of current investments won't take us there, that we need to transition our financial systems and our economy to be fit for purpose for a more sustainable future. And that will require us to change how we do things. So whether public or private, all organisations currently make an impact. And if we can work to orient more of that and more of the resources going to the things that avoid harm, benefit stakeholders, and contribute solutions, that will benefit us all. In order to do that, we need to design for it. We need to make impact count. We need to drive purposeful governance and to value the social and environmental decision outcomes explicitly and demand more of our decision makers around this. But it is possible to do, and it's happening already. You'll see that in some of the examples that you're going to hear in just a moment. From the Murray-Darling Balanced Water Fund here in Australia to refinancing government debt in the Seychelles and creating marine parks, there are inspiring things that show us that this future where we can put impact at the centre of the way we think about finance and finance more things that drive new solutions is with us already. You'll hear a range of terms, innovative finance, blended finance, and I'd encourage you to take away from this that these are all various tools and that they are descriptors for more explicitly recognising and designing for the impact that we want to see. So rather than a choice, rather than a kind of confusing array of things, I invite you to see them as tools that fit for your purpose. So we can all contribute to this future. I invite you to contribute actively to this discussion and be part of creating a world where we can have financial prosperity and we can direct our resources to the things that will help us create a world that is also giving people access to clean water, good health, and where we can serve and can sustain our environment. Thanks very much.